to 56. So San Diego State and Miami are onward to the Final Four, which is pretty remarkable. And our Final Four field is now set. So if we look at the two games that are coming up on April 1st, which is coming up on Saturday, you've got the 9 seed and the 5 seed, Florida Atlantic and San Diego State, facing off in one of the national semifinals. San Diego State, a 1.5 point favorite. And in the other game, a Titanic matchup, the 5-4 matchup, Miami and UConn. And that is your Final Four. Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, Miami, and UConn, the Final Four teams. All right, 503-248-0620. Let's go out to the phones and talk with Josh Baker, who's hanging out. Josh, welcome to the fifth quarter. What was your takeaway on what you saw today from Shaden Sharp?
Dang, that was amazing. 29 points, career high. That was awesome.
Yeah, athleticism, explosion. So what are your thoughts on the Blazers' approach to the rest of the season by resting the key guys and focusing on development and lottery position?
Lose as many as we can, but give us a good game like tonight.
Yeah, competitive game.
I loved tonight. Tonight was fun.
Yeah, they went out and competed.
Nasir Little and Shane Sharp. It was their thing.
Yeah, I think it was a win-win. They took the loss, which was the proper result, but at the same time, I think they gave a game for the fans to watch that was exciting and, back and forth. Not the best basketball, but competitive. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Fifth quarter, Chad Doing and Chris Burkhart. I think there is something to that, right? Like the guys who played tonight gave a good effort. Man, it was a competitive game. That's a win for the fans and for the team.
Well, what more could you want, really? I think that's exactly what you wanted them to go do, was to just have fun out there and see some signs of development, right? And I think you saw that. Again, we talked about it, but Shaden looked great. Nasir looked great. I actually thought Keon had a pretty good game, looking like maybe he could be a guy who could run an offense in a tough situation. Top to bottom, I thought they looked like a competitive team for what you expected. Not like, okay, they're going to go into the playoffs and be competitive, but a team of guys who kind of started to resemble a basketball team.
What do you think about these tankathon standings now, with Portland now just a half game back of that fifth spot in the lottery order? That's looking promising right now.
I told you, my keys to the game were the letter L and the number 5, right? And the thing is with Orlando's young, so they want to develop their guys too, and they want to win because they are similar to the Blazers. They know that they're not good enough to win a lot of games, so they're not going to go tank mode. They're going to go out there and have all their horses going right in front of the wagon, right, full speed ahead, and they're gonna grab some wins, Chad. They're gonna grab some wins, and they did tonight. And that only helps the Blazers out.
Let's go back out to the phones. We have Claude, who's joining us now. We go out and talk with Claude, who joins the fifth quarter. Claude, welcome to the fifth quarter. What was your takeaway from the Blazers' 118-112 loss tonight?
Hi, guys. I think it was a good game. The young guys are out there playing. They played well. It looked like a little pickup ball a little bit with the lack of experience, but you can't be upset with the results. Oklahoma trying to win, and here we are with our guys who played 6 minutes all year together, looking like they're almost going to beat them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oklahoma had to be a little nervous with their performance. So, not a horrible game. Just people got to realize that this isn't a championship team this year, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
No doubt. What do you think about Shaden Sharp and what you've seen from him so far?
That kid's got hops, man. That guy can jump, and it's just amazing the athleticism that kid has. And he's so humble. He's not out there smack talking. He's not doing stuff that he could be doing with his skill. But he's just a solid player. And I think if we can keep him like we can keep Lillard for a decade plus, I think that's just going to be positive for the Blazers overall.
Yeah, no doubt. He's just scratching the surface, right? 19 years old. Think about how much time he's got as he continues to develop. That's exciting to me.
Yeah, it's a good team if you get past we really want to win a chip. We really want to win. If you get past that right now, who we got? We have Yusuf, Damon, Nasir, and Ant they're the only guys who played any time significantly with each other. Everybody else is 12 months or less as a team. I don't know what people expect, but you can't expect a whole lot. I mean, you want to expect a whole lot, but if you understand basketball, you know there's going to be some time that has to be had to get these guys to be able to read each other, be able to anticipate each other's moves, and you can see the lack of that anticipation when you're watching the game. I mean, these guys are kind of looking at each other with shrugging their shoulders, like, "Oh, I didn't know you're going that way." I think if Blazer fans in general are just patient, and we've been patient for decades, but if you just make it a little more patient, I think we're going to reap some benefits of who we got on this roster right now.
Well, Claude, that was a terrific phone call, and I appreciate you chiming in here on the fifth quarter. I'm not going to sell patience to the Trailblazer fan base because they haven't been legitimate title contenders for 23 years, but I do like what I see from Shaedon Sharpe. And the explosiveness, the athleticism. I can't think of the last time they had a guy on the court with that type of athleticism who could legitimately energize the entire crowd with a couple of plays. And he had 2 plays back-to-back where he rocked the rim. The second bucket didn't count, but the crowd exploded. When was the last time they had a player with that type of athleticism?
Will Barton or Elliot Williams are the first 2 that pop to mind.
Jeez, that's the best you got.
And the thing is, that's the best I got, and that also proves that it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. Let's go back out to the phones. Lou says section 102. Let's go talk to Lou. Lou, appreciate the call. You're up in the fifth quarter. What was your takeaway from the Blazers' 118-112 loss to the Thunder?
Well, I thought Coach Tank did a great job sitting down a hardworking Keon Johnson. Remember the game.
I'm sorry, Lou, your phone cut out there, my friend. I was a little suspicious on the Turner Wofford benching. I thought I was kind of laughing to myself because I thought, okay, he didn't play in the second half. He did come back after he tweaked the ankle, but then I thought maybe he was being a little bit too aggressive from what the Blazers are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's what I said with Sharpe too. Someone needed to tell Chauncey to call a timeout just to tell the guys, hey, Orlando won, so if you guys could just take your foot off the brake or off the gas a little bit, that'd be nice.
I thought Claude made a good point though. For the guys that are on the floor, not having played together, not having that chemistry, to go out there and play with the effort that they did and find a way to get buckets. They shot a good percentage tonight. That was not bad.
No, not at all. And like I said, this is akin to a college football team getting extra practices because they qualified for a bowl game, right? And how important those are. Right now, you have entered tank mode. Dame, Ant, Grant, Nurk out.
All out.
Winslow out. Right? And so now you have, 8 games left now, and you just want to see what you got heading into the summer. So you want to make sure, you need to know with Shaedon Sharpe, is this a guy that you want to keep? He's part of your future, or are you going to dangle him as bait to bring in that big guy, right? Yeah. You want to know if Cam Reddish and Knox and Thibault are guys that you want to exercise their options or tackle them in free agency since they're restricted free agents, right? You want to know these things. And even if you aren't looking at them as part of your future, you want to know what you have as assets moving forward trade-wise too. So this is pivotal time to see what you have at the end of your bench for these guys who don't see the court all the time.
Is that the old school Paulin apartment up there? What is that?
I'm pretty sure that is. I've always wondered, but that's the only thing that would qualify as the apartment in this building.
Wow. We got to get up there somehow. That's pretty sweet right there.
I know. I don't think anyone's ever seen the inside of it, but it's a thing.
I love it. I mean, if I had my own crib like this, I'd put an apartment in it too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we'll keep things rolling. Speaking of Chauncey Billups, we're going to hear from him next when we step in the coach's corner. 118-112, the final. Thunder get the victory, and the Blazers now have to reset and get ready for a game tomorrow night. The Pelicans will be in town. That game's going to tip off at 6. We'll have game day at 4:30 here on 620 Rip City Radio.
Chauncey Billups on Blazers Game Day, presented by Henderson & Daughter. Henderson & Daughter has been supplying superior design service, quality windows, entry doors, patio doors, and window installation to the Portland and Southwest Washington area since 1977. Before you decide to just replace your current windows or exterior doors, have our designers present you with a free in-home design consultation and estimate to show you the different styles we carry that can give your home a fresh new look. Henderson & Daughter, your window and door experts.
All right, let's check in with Coach Bills following the Blazers' 118-112 loss to the Thunder here at Moda Center.
We were in tune. We did a good job. I thought we made Shea really work for his 31 tonight. You know, he got on the line. That's just what he does. He's really crafty and he does that. But for the most part, we did a good job on him, loading up. And you know, they had other guys that played well. I don't think we showed Isaiah Joe enough respect. We talked about him a ton. You know, he found a way to break loose. But overall, I thought offensively we played pretty fast. We did well. Obviously, Nas his shots and Shea was really good, but we got the ball moving around. I thought it was good.
What do you think about just kind of the way Nas played tonight? You know, his role has kind of been in and out, up and down, kind of throughout the season, but he's kind of stuck with it, and having a game like this. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Nas has done a really good job of just kind of sticking with whatever he's getting out there. You know, there's been so many times where he's not played a lot based on however I'm making the rotations. And, you know, he's always stayed consistent, you know, with his work and the things that he's trying to do to prepare. And then you see him come in a night like tonight and, you know, get up a lot of shots and make a whole lot of them, you know. But that's what he can do. That's what he can do, and what I love most is just kind of the extra effort plays that he makes. Offensive rebound here, a tough defensive rebound here and there, and I know that he could shoot. You know, he's one of our best shooters on our team, so it was good to see him really get going.
You were talking earlier in the year about how, you know, with him you want to see the defense get more consistent. Do you feel like he's kind of made strides in that area?
He's been up and down all year defensively. You know, he really has. But it's never for a lack of effort, sometimes a lack of focus. I think a night like tonight, you know, it's easy to play defense when that shot is going. You know, that's pretty it's pretty universal right there. So you don't judge a guy's defense when he's having one of those nights, you know. But for the most part, he's been up and down. But when he's up on that end of the floor, he doesn't need to make shots to be impactful.
Chauncey, I know pregame we talked about shape and decision-making, but again, my point of view tonight was probably his best defensive game as far as staying in front of somebody. He stifled SGA 6-7 times on drives, and that's not easy to do. When you're watching live tonight, is that where you ended up with where he was defensively tonight as far as taking on SGA?
I thought he was really good. He was, well, people don't know, Shaden is really strong, man, really strong. So he's able to play defense without using his hands, and sometimes it gets a little I mean, it's just nature. Sometimes you get your hands in there. But he actually has the type of physique that he can, like, you know, play defense with his chest a lot of times and body guys up. And he's strong, man. He's strong, and I thought he cut SGA off a few times tonight and probably surprised him a little bit with how strong he is. So, yeah, I was proud of him. You know, I was proud of the way he played defensively, even when he wasn't guarding the ball. I thought he was pretty locked in to what his job was to do on the play.
Do you feel like his strength is starting to show more now that he's kind of getting the feel for the NBA game? It seems like he's turning corners more offensively, using his body, getting his shoulder pass, getting clear, more physicality just in his game. Do you think that's picked up a lot more over the last couple of weeks?
It has. You know, there was a play at the end where he won't be reading all the coverages that well right off. So I told him, you know, they're showing with Giddy. You know, they're not trapping that. They're not switching. They're showing with that. And that's all I had to tell him. You know, he used a little drag dribble and then turned the corner. You know, so I would have had to tell him everything earlier, like they showing drag dribble, still see if you can get downhill, turn the corner. I didn't have to do that. I just kind of shared with him the coverage because it's tough to see that sometimes, and you know those guys are big. And he just kind of read it and did a good job of getting to where he got to and got fouled there, and but yeah, he did a good job.
You clearly want this group to work hard. What does it say to you as a coach, given what happened Friday? This is been a bad matchup for you guys all season. To play this well against a team that they needed this win, so they weren't slacking. Yeah,
I just think for us, I just keep preaching, how we want to play. We want to try to play fast, and we want to try to share the ball, and we want to talk and be physical and very competitive defensively. And I thought our guys did that the entire game. The entire game, even times that we were down, we never let off the gas. Whoever I put in the game, they came in and scrapped. As a coach, that's what you want. You want your guys to go out there and try to do what you're asking them to do. And they did a really good job.
All right, there's Coach Billups. A lot of praise there for Shaden Sharp with his work, particularly on the defensive end, which is the most exciting because that's where the growth needs to take place with him.
Yeah, still made some mistakes on that end tonight, and I'm sure Coach told him that. But when you challenge your player, you want him to step up, and you want him to show strides on that end. I definitely think he did because, as Danny pointed out in the question, man, SGA is not an easy guard.
Let's go out to the phones. Tim in Milwaukee joining us here in the fifth quarter. Tim, the stage is yours. Fire away.
Hey, Chad. So back in the 90s, there was a stretch of time where that apartment that you're talking about on top of the Moda Center there, the Paul Allen mysterious Batcave dwelling, was uninhabitable because of seismic and structural issues. I don't know if you remember in kind of the late stretch of the 90s and early 2000s, if you walked around the upper part of the concourse level, there were cracks along the upper part of the concourse, and they were filled in with like a mysterious gray goo. And that was part of the frustration. And when I the last time I was at the Moda Center was the time I went to go see Dave Chappelle, and I walked around the upper concourse deliberately looking for those cracks, and I couldn't find them, so I assume that something else has been done. But yeah, that was a weird and I also heard that he used to take players up there for game viewing times and parties, but there was a weird stretch during the 90s where they couldn't have anybody up in there due to seismic and structural issues. But anyway, I have a question for you tonight. Well, two questions now, actually, now that I heard the thing with Chauncey. One, what do you think is the future of Matisse Thybulle with this team? And two, regarding Shaden Sharp, do you think that especially in today's NBA that you could give a mediocre to semi-upper tier player enough attempts and enough times on the court to at least make them appear like a I don't know, I don't want to say like all-star candidate, but maybe maybe like an all-star candidate. Do you kind of think that there's a lot of players out there that if you just gave them enough run that they would probably materialize better in the stats box?
Oh, there's no question about that. That's a good phone call. And by the way, I appreciate the insight, Tim, on the Paul Allen secret apartment. The reason why we're talking about it is that I've been in the Moda Center now, hundreds and hundreds of times. I have never seen that box at the very top of Moda open where you can see inside and see a light. I've never seen that. I'm assuming there used to be curtains on it or whatever, but I've never seen that before. First time ever. Have you ever seen that?
No, not that I can recall. I don't know. Maybe they should just do it like that. It's like the light on top of the fire station or whatever inside Disneyland to, it was always on for Walt.
I'm willing to put on I would don European cut swim trunks if it got me access into that room right now.
Seriously, though, that's like the ultimate flex right there. Like, I own a basketball team. I'm going to build an arena. I'm going to put an apartment in it.
Yeah. And you've got your own secret pad that only you have access to inside of a freaking NBA arena.
I'd do it.
That's the ultimate flex.
I'm surprised more owners don't.
Hey, you want to come over? Yeah. Where are you at? Moda Center. What?
Right?
Yeah.
Get the helicopter to land on top, take you to the private entrance. Heck yeah.
Like, you can't have that and ask people to come over or come visit you in the private Moda Center apartment without being a badass. Dude, where do you live now? RG? What?
Right?
That's pretty sweet, man. I'm down with that. In regards to Matisse Thybulle, I think his role is Well, I think it's a perfect spot for the Blazers. He's a restricted free agent, Tim, and the Blazers can work with him. And I would imagine that some of that mid-level exception money that went to Peyton that's now going to come back to Portland will probably be utilized to re-sign him, I would think.
Yeah, I think he has to be a priority when you go out and you trade for a guy like that. You can't just
No, not
can't
as a
just let him
starter,
walk.
but as a role player off the bench.
No, yeah, absolutely. And if you have, that full MLE type money, like that's the kind of money a guy like that will command. And then again, if you can get better at the small forward or power forward position and tinker with your lineup a little bit, and you have him coming off the bench, he's the perfect rotation player. He's the kind of guy you want, and he's been better shooting the ball here than advertised. I believe he had like that 4 3-pointer game in like his first or second game, and people were like, "Yeah, that's never going to happen again." And guess what? It's happened more than once. So he's a good little fit.
Can you think of examples of any players who have, suddenly been thrust into a larger role with more minutes that have put up instantly better numbers based, compared to what they had in the past? Like, who are some guys that just needed minutes to get on the floor?
Pretty much every single basketball player ever. I mean,
but who are some guys that maybe get on the floor and get more minutes and they put up good stats, but it doesn't necessarily indicate the type of basketball player they are? Who would be a good example of that?
wow, that's a really good question. That's a good question. I think you might have one here in Portland, honestly, in like a.
What about Hassan Whiteside?
Yeah, Hassan Whiteside's one. I was gonna say Trendon Watford a little bit because sometimes he has those nights where he's like 20 and 10. You're like, that's just not who he is. It's just minutes have given him that production, right? And then you talk about Hassan Whiteside. Yeah, same thing. Like everyone gets crazy on him. Like, well, go sign him. You need a backup center. Like his numbers were inflated because he was just on the floor and all he did was stand around the rim. There was a reason that he led the league in blocks and wasn't even considered for Defensive Player of the Year, right? But yeah, I think that's one right there. That when you are in a starting role and you're playing 30 minutes a night, your numbers definitely get inflated. It may not be indicative of your overall value or talent. I mean, look at Drew Eubanks too. I mean, Drew Eubanks, is he really a 15 and 10 guy? Like, I don't know.
Let's go to Kiernan in Portland. Kiernan, I know you were at the game on Friday against Chicago. Were you here at Moda Center today?
Hey, Chad. Hey, no, I wasn't. I was at home listening to the game on the radio, just on the radio tonight. Yeah.
Oh, well, you had to be pretty excited about Shaden Sharp's performance, right?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I thought Shaden Sharp did pretty good tonight.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and then Nasir Little with 28 points. What were some of the other things that jumped out at you?
Nasir Little. Yep. Yeah, definitely Nasir Little for sure. Yep.
What else jumped out at you?
I definitely still want to see the team do well in the lottery for sure.
Oh yeah, well that's the best part about today. The loss combined with the Orlando win, they're now a half game out of the fifth spot in the lottery order. Which, if they can lock down the fifth spot, that would give them a 10.5% chance at the number 1 pick and a 42.1% chance to jump into the top 4.
Yes, that would be good. Yes, the top 4. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's exciting.
Yes, and go Blazers always. Yes, and we'll see how they do tomorrow for sure.
All right. Well, tomorrow's another game, 7:00 tip against the Pelicans here at Moda Center. Let's go ahead and talk with Rick in Salem. Rick, welcome to the fifth quarter with Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt. What was your takeaway from tonight, buddy? Rick, Salem, fire away.
It's me. It's Randy.
I'm sorry. Your phone cut out there, my friend. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number here on the fifth quarter. I like Kiernan because he's always in a good mood, regardless of circumstance. That's Kiernan, man. Always bringing the positive energy.
Always. You absolutely love it. You need it in a year like this. Something to get you through, and you have the the downs of the peaks and valleys. But I think the last few games, and tonight was another one, Chad, where you aren't upset with the loss. I think you have to like what you saw from the young guys being put in the position that coach requested of them.
All right, 503-248-0620. We'll come back. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to your phone calls, and we'll keep things rolling here. Blazers back at it tomorrow. Pelicans will be in town. Tip-off at 7. Game day will start at 4:30 here on 620 Rip City Radio. You can join Justin Myers, Rip City Mornings tomorrow at 6, and the Rip City Drive with Dwight and I will start at 3.
pass deflected, but Johnson gets it with 5 to shoot. Down to 3, takes off, drives, steps through, reverse, banks it in!
Randy, who is in Salem. Randy, I appreciate the phone call. You're back up on fifth quarter. What was your takeaway from the game today?
Hey, Chad. Talking about Shaden Sharp, the guy is a high wire act, and I when he's on, I watch on television. I'm down here in Salem, and I can't take my eyes off of him. You just never know what you're going to see, and he produced tonight. Career high. It'll be interesting to see what he does tomorrow night, being back to back, and he had to expend some energy tonight. And he's a young guy, being only 19. I mean, that's got to be hard playing in all these games at that age. But in the movie Trading Day, Kevin Costner puts a note in his pocket that says draft such and such no matter what.
Yeah.
Cronin has to put a note in his pocket that says do not trade Shaden Sharp no matter what.
Well, Randy, let me ask you a question, Randy. What if you had a chance to land Joel Embiid from the Sixers, but they wanted Shaden Sharp?
Well, the thing is, they'd want Sharp, they'd want Simons, and they'd want draft picks.
I know, but hold on for a second. Would you be willing to part with Sharp if it meant landing a player like Joel Embiid?
No.
Oh my gosh, Randy, are you kidding me? Oh gosh.
Well, listen to my reasoning.
Okay.
The reason being is you'd have to gut the team to be able to do it, and what good's that going to do? I am of the thought process. The best thing that could happen to this team is to trade Dame.
I know, but it's not going to happen. They're not going to do it.
Well, they may not, but the thing is, the best thing that happened would be that let him go get his ring, and then come back at the end of his career and be an ambassador for the team.
Oh my gosh!
Kiss babies and go to openings and all that.
But Randy, but hold on for a second. The reason why I don't discuss the possibility of a Dame trade, and I'm not denying that they couldn't get a haul for him, but Dame signed the extension last summer. He's got 4 more years left on his deal, and Cronin and the Blazers have made it clear that he's not going anywhere. So we have to focus on what it's going to take, since they're not going to deal Dame, with getting the type of talent around him to where they can hopefully have a chance to make a run. That's why you've got to be open to the idea of dealing either Ant or Sharp in a potential deal to land some type of star.
I would rather deal Ant, as much as I like him. He's 6'3", Shaden's 6'6". Plug Shaden in at the 2 guard, because Shaden, he reminds me, and I'm not saying he's as good or will be as good, but he kind of reminds me of Kobe, He's very athletic, and you look at him and you think, how can a 19-year-old kid be this built? And I just really think it would be a huge mistake to get rid of him.
Well, I think we're on the same page. I mean, I'm not saying they should get rid of both Ant and Sharp. I do think it's possible they get rid of one, but I'm with you. I would prefer to keep Sharp because of his size and his strength and the more natural fit with the way he plays off ball at the 2 than I would Anthony Simons. So I'm with you on that. If you got to trade one, keep Sharp.
Yeah, I agree. And if they trade Sharp, I'm going to be so disappointed in this team.
That's
I
true.
really would be.
Well, I know, but if they landed a
I'll let
superstar, you might find a way to get over it, though.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, I'll let you go. Thank you, Chad.
I appreciate it, Randy. You're awesome, buddy. Always like hearing from you. See, that's the part. That's where people lose me. I love Sharp too, but if you've got a chance to land a big time player, let's just say it's Joel Embiid, and you got to part with Sharp, then so be it.
Man, I've said this so many times, but this is a fan base who is still haunted by the ghost of Jermaine O'Neal to no other. They watched him go become an absolute star in the NBA in Indiana and realized that they had him just rotting on their bench. But at the same time, like, yeah, he wasn't getting playing time because he had Brian Grant and Rasheed Wallace, and he was, buried on the depth chart. Now, here's the thing with Shaedon Sharp. I love this. He looks like Kobe. He looks like Kobe. Like, come on now. Come on now. Is it that I get what Kobe was objectively looked awful his rookie year. Let's not forget, right? And I said this. Did I not say this to you early in the year that he reminds me, not his top end, not pro all-star guy, but his rookie year, his build coming in, everything. He reminded me of Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way they played and their stats, almost identical, which is pretty incredible. Now, if Philadelphia calls you, Chad, and says, hey, you give us Ant, who you still don't know what you have there because he's a little bit up and down, and you give us Shaedon Sharp, who might be really good. He's shown flashes, but you don't know. And we'll give you a legit MVP candidate. We will basically give you Shaq in his prime. And you say no?
You're a dum-dum.
You say no? I mean, Joel Embiid. Here's the thing. Dame, Ant, and Shaedon Sharp together right now is not, you're seeing the what it looks like, is not a title contender. Dame.
They're not a playoff contender.
Dame and Joel Embiid together makes your team a contender. Right out the gate.
Yeah.
Now you put good pieces around them, you're good to go, but your team is better off.
Yeah, you don't need to convince me on that. No question about it. Let's go out to Victor in Turkey. Hey, Victor, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hi, how are you guys?
Very well. I'm just trying to figure out how I can get inside of Paul Allen's secret apartment here at Moda Center.
Well, I don't know anything about it. I never been to Moda Center. Never, ever. Even when I was in TSU, when I was in Portland State, well, I had a chance to go there, but, I was busy with college, so it was a tough 4 years of college for me.
Victor, what was your major in at college?
I had bachelor degrees, computer science and mathematics. I was number one in high school in Turkey. I was number one.
I believe you. See, I knew it. I knew it without asking because every time you call, I'm like, Victor is a lot smarter than I am, and now that is confirmed. Computer science and mathematics. So you're one of the guys that really does make the world go round. That does not surprise me.
Well, if I tell you my whole story, you'll be more shocked because I work in after graduate. I work in Phoenix, Arizona, for the aerospace Honeywell. The only guy from Portland, software, that was me. And I was, but the thing is, I went through divorce, and when I got divorced, all of a sudden my memory went, down the hill. That was the most unfortunate things happened in my life. When I got a divorce, I lost interest in job, in computer, everything. So that was a downside, but I still was interested in NBA basketball, but I was the only one from Portland. Went to aerospace,
That's awesome.
in Phoenix, Arizona.
That's awesome, man. Congrats, dude.
Thank you.
You're officially, just so you know, for the record, I just want you to know that you are the smartest caller we've ever had in the history of the fifth quarter. So congrats on that title, too.
Thank you much. I did appreciate that. Gave me inspiration. I want to tell you something about about this whole thing. I think this series, is not very exciting because we know that they are not gonna, be, even playing. But I'm thinking about the next year. So I'm thinking about the Damien and his goal. I'm thinking that even next year they have to better think about not even contention, better think about the championship and put all the aces on the table and do something. Depending on Joe Cronin, that he has to pull something, fantastic. That because if I was a Damien at 31 years or 33 years, then I think, well, I better think championship next year, not even 2 years from now. So I'm hoping on that. But about the one of the things I want to disagree with you and the Chris is get rid of the Al Simon. And I tell you why. Because, I think I'm smart enough or I know I'm knowledgeable enough about the NBA. The reason that I prefer Al Simon, to Sharp is this reason. You see, I need the assistant of Dan Moran. Then 3 years ago, when Al Simon came in and dropped, 20, 30 points off the table, off the bench, and Dan Moran, he's a great analyst, and he's a friend of yours. I don't see him this year. I didn't see him this year talking to you. But a couple of years ago, when he talked to you, he said what kind of player Al Simon is going to be, and he proved it. The thing is, I need Dan Moran to analyze this guy because the chanceable of the new coach changed his game. Now, if you look at his production, Simon went down like crazy. He's not the same production he had 2 years ago. The chanceable of changed his game. They pay more attention to the other guys like Sharp, and of course Damien. And I tell you something else. Last year, when Damien was on the injury list, and Simon and the other guys, they went and they beat one of the best team, the Memphis Grizzlies, and John Moran. I challenge you. You watch that game and you see what Ann Simon can do. They beat Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis. And John Moran, he was trying to challenge Ann Simon. He couldn't. That was my best. I could never believe it. So people, they call you and, I understand, their background, but they call you and they say, keep Sharp. Maybe they keep it. And another thing is the best value for the Ann Simon, he has much more value in money than Sharp. That's why I think they're gonna trade Ann Simon because he has more value. And everybody on NBA talking about they want to get the Ann Simon. That's what they're gonna do it. Not because he's worse than the Sharp. No, because everybody wants Ann Simon. The Sharp is not in the. He started to get some attention, but Ann Simon was much more, noticeable 3 years ago, and that's why this year they're gonna trade Ann Simon because he has more value, not because Sharp is better player. Sharp is not. I don't think Sharp is going to be the same level as Ann Simon, and you will see it in the future. Ann Simon, any team he goes, he's going to be a superstar. That's all I can tell you.
All right. I appreciate it, Victor. As always, you're right there to defend Ant Simon. Yeah, we're friends with Dan Marang. The problem is, Victor, he decided to go work for another station, and now I can't talk to him on air. That's on Dan Marang, Victor, not us.
Yeah, darn no competes or whatever the heck those are.
Why is it so hard for people to understand that what the Blazers are doing right now is not a tank? It's not a tank.
I mean, it wasn't until this week.
I mean, but a full-on tank, like what they did last year when they just pulled the plug at the All-Star break, that is a full-on tank.
No, yeah, for sure. They were in this one until they really felt that they didn't have a puncher's chance anymore. So, and then they bowed out gracefully, and now it's just time to try to get as much as you can out of the last few games here and better your lot when it comes to the draft. I also think after listening to Victor call, I just think the Sharp should just be Shaden's nickname now.
I think that's pretty good. Also, Jeff Workman chimed in. Victor is a rocket scientist. Awesome.
Right? It's true. That's true. Now it's interesting. Now you look at some of the chatters on our YouTube. It's funny because like Han in King City chimes in and says you're not getting Embiid for Ant and Sharp. There isn't any combination of any player sans Dame that will land you Embiid, which I probably agree with, but it also makes the argument that much funnier because your argument is that Joel Embiid is so good that it would take far more than Ant and Shaden to get him. Yet you have people call in and argue, I just don't know if I'd be willing to part with Ant and Shaden to get Joel Embiid. Like, which one is it? It's just, it's crazy to me. I like Ant and Sharp as much as the next guy, but if you can get better, you do what you do to get better.
Well, everyone says that this guy's untouchable, that guy's untouchable. It's like everyone tells me that Dame's untouchable. I'm like, okay, what if Milwaukee called and said, we'll give you Giannis for Dame? Is Dame untouchable?
No, unless not if you're a GM who, wants to keep his job.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, nice work, fellas. Michael Shacker, thank you, buddy. Chris Burkhart, nice to see you face-to-face here at Moto, buddy.
Always.
All right, Blazers are going to be back at it tomorrow. This is going to do it for us. I would stay on to talk more, but I'm going to go sneak into Paul Allen's secret crib. I've never seen it before. It's lit up. I'm going to go check it out right now. All right. Justin Myers, Rip City Mornings tomorrow morning at 6. Rip City Drive at 3 with Dwight and I. I'll have game day at 4:30 with Chris Burkhart, and then tip-off against the Pelicans at 7. Your final score from Moda Center, the Oklahoma City Thunder topped the Portland Trail Blazers 118-112. For Michael Shacker and Chris Burkhart, I'm Chad Doing. Have a good night, my